Hey guys, I'm back. Yes, I have been gone for a little bit off of BookTube. I took a break. Life got crazy. It happens. But I am here today to talk about some life updates as well as my recent reads, because while I haven't been filming, I have been reading, and it's been quite a bit. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So if you are new here, I'm Jessie, and I run this channel, The Bookish Mom. I have two pretty young kids, and they have recently taken over all of my free time because of sports and music and all the things that go along with it. So yeah, time to film has been minimal, but I'm excited to get back into it. I absolutely love filming and talking about all the books that I read. So I wanted to share with everybody, and if you are not new here, if you've been around here a while, thank you for sticking with me, and I do promise to be more consistent in 2024. We'll start with kind of the life updates. That way you can skip right past it if you want to see the reading updates. But yeah, so like I said, my kids have been doing sports. My daughter has been doing swim, and that has been all-encompassing. She is getting more and more competitive between that and cross country, and then, you know, music. She plays guitar, and then my son has started karate recently, and he's getting more into it and more competitive, and then now he's doing drums. So between all of that, it's just been a lot, and just trying to figure out how to balance it and how to get everything, you know, time-wise between kids. And, you know, I do have a full regular job. My husband owns an automotive shop, so like, it's just a busy year. But also, we have added a new member to the family recently. This is Nami. She's a Catahoula rescue mix that we just got, and she has just been the sweetest puppy. If you were around last year around this time, you'll know that we lost our 15-year-old pit mix, Lily, who I had had since I was 18, and it was devastating. Like, it was a really hard time. I had a hard time talking about it, and we waited a full year before we really decided to add another dog to our family, and I'm really happy that we did, because I feel like we got just the right one. She's so sweet and just a Velcro puppy. But she is a puppy, so there's lots of training and trying to get her not to pee on my floors and things like that. But she will be making appearances probably here and there throughout my videos within the next year. But I wanted to introduce you guys to a little baby Nami, just in case you were interested. Yeah, and in case you were here last year when I kind of had my moment and lost Lily, so yeah, I want to introduce you to the newest member of the family. Now, what you're probably more interested in is the recent reads, and there's been a lot because I haven't updated in a while. So I'm going to try to kind of fly through these and not ramble too long on all of them. These are in no particular order either. I don't remember exactly when I read them, only that I have not talked about them because I've been piling them up. I have like a stack books over here. I've been on my audiobook journey. As you might have seen in my last video, I just started listening to audiobooks. It was never anything that I could really comprehend really well. It always went in one ear and out the other. But lately, I've just been vibing with the audiobooks. I've been doing a lot of it, especially while I work. So I will like listen while I work when I'm doing certain things that like don't require, you know, full attention, and it's just like writing and drafting and editing and stuff like that. But yeah, that's been helping me fly through a ton of books, and obviously I have a lot of them physically, so I'll get a lot of them in, immersion read, and do both and go back and forth, which has been really fun. So I'm very excited that it has changed my reading life and allowed me to read more than ever, because honestly, I don't have time to just sit and read as much anymore, as you can tell with your new puppy and kids, and still got the cat and work and all of that. So yeah, let's jump into all of the books I've read recently. One of my more recent reads is The Adventures of Amina al-Sarifi, and I absolutely loved this. I think I gave this 5 stars. It was such a good time. I really love that our main character is a mom. That is a theme here on this channel. I love mother main characters in like sci-fi and fantasy because I feel like we don't see it enough, right? We get a lot of like young protagonists, or we get, you know, the grizzled dudes, but we don't get a whole lot of moms, especially like good moms. So I really loved that aspect of it. I also really loved that it's set in the same world as the Devabad series. And yeah, I just had a great time with this. I mean, mother, pirates, Jen, like, I loved this one. And then I finally bowed to the hype and read Fourth Wing, which wasn't bad. Now, do I get the hype? Not really. Was it my absolute favorite? Probably not. Was it like a good, solid, like 3-star read? Absolutely. I have like pages of notes on things that didn't make sense to me and things that confused me and things I was like, what? Why are they doing this? This is stupid. But I honestly had a good time. Like, even with my pages of complaints about the weird, like, why are we killing the best of the best when we could like, stuff that doesn't make sense, I still had a good time. I really liked the dragons. The dragons elevated it for me. Snarky dragons. And it was good. The romance was alright. It wasn't like I was expecting, I guess, more or like a better romance because it's supposed to be romantasy, but like the romance was alright. The slightly smutty scenes were alright, but like it wasn't anything like mind-blowing. Like, this is a good solid 3-star read, but that was it. Like, it's not like, oh my god, I must own every copy. Like, I did get the holiday edition, but it was cheap. Like, I didn't spend tons of money on it. But yeah, it was alright. I also read a little bit outside of my normal comfort zone and read The Love Hypothesis. And honestly, I had a fun time with this, which was really surprising. Because normally I don't read like romance, and I really don't read like contemporary romance, but I had a fun old time with this. Like, it wasn't anything super special, no. But like, again, I had fun with it. It was a really quick read. I think I read it in a day with the audiobook reading along with it. And yeah, I had fun. Like, you could tell it's Raylo fanfic, but like, it was still fun. Then I read City of Nightmares by Rebecca Schaefer. This was almost a DNF, but I did push through and finish it. I think I gave it like 3 stars. It was okay. Honestly, I don't remember too terribly much about it. Like, it didn't stick. Like, it had a really cool concept of like people, when they dream and have nightmares, they turn in to their nightmare, and then like sometimes they like rampage and destroy the city and kill people. Like, we have a girl that turns into a giant spider and like starts killing her family, and then it's wild. And then our main protagonist was just like really annoying. Like, I got that she's traumatized and this and this and that, and then she's dealing with it, but it's like every time you think she's starting to deal with it, she like regresses, and you're like, girl, just come on. There's a really sweet, I don't know if it's a romance or just a friendship. I did like that aspect with one of the boys who became a nightmare, but he became a vampire and can control himself, so he's not one of the weird raging nightmares. Like, it's a really weird book, but it was okay. And I would probably read the second one of this, but like, it doesn't stick out to me. You know what I mean? Then I read The Bonesmith by Nikki Palpretto, and this I had a great time with. This I gave 5 stars. I love her Crown of Feathers series, so I pretty much knew that I was gonna like this if it was, you know, similar. And it was, and I loved it. It is, you know, YA fantasy, and such a good time. We have like really cool like necromantic magic and bone magic, and there's different kinds of magic and different classes of people who do different kind of magic. And our main girl is from kind of like the ruling class, I guess, of the bone magic people, and she kind of screws up one of her trials and is like sent to this fortress to like kind of earn her place back in a way. And then she befriends this prince who gets kidnapped, and then her and one of the kidnappers end up having to team up and go save him, which is really wild. And honestly, I had a really good time with this one. It was fun. Then I finished the Crown of Fire and Thorns, a Girl of Fire and Thorns series by Ray Carson. I read the last two, which are Crown of Ember and Bitter Kingdom. And this was a fun YA fantasy. Again, not a favorite, and it doesn't like stick out a lot in my brain, but it was a fun like older YA fantasy. I know there's like, I think a continuation series. I might have to check that out. I might be mistaken, but I had a good time with it. We're following, our main girl who has this godstone in her stomach, which means she's like chosen by God, but she doesn't know how to like work the magic, and she becomes like the queen, and it was really interesting. It's very based on, I think, like the Spanish Inquisition type period. One thing I found really cool was that one of the characters, minor side character that's only mentioned a couple times, name is Elodia, which is a family name in my family, and I never see it anywhere. Like, everyone looks at you like crazy when you're like, Elodia, but like, no, it's actually a Catholic saint in Spain, but like, it's one of a family name for me that's been passed down as to a lot of the women in my family. But yeah, I actually had a good time with it. Is it a favorite? No. I'll probably be passing these along to my niece, but it was good. It also felt good to check off a series that I started and wanted to finish, and physical books that I own, so that was a big help. I also read my very first ever Stephen King book, and that was The Institute. And yes, I've never read a Stephen King book before. Surprise! I don't do a lot of horror, but this was like fantasy more so than horror, and it's these kids, and they are like, I keep wanting to call them EOs, but they're basically like X-Mini people, either telepathic or telekinetic, and they're like kidnapped and taken from their families in the middle of the night and brought to this institute where they are like tested and given like drugs and treated awfully. And our one main character, we follow him, and he's just this little boy, and he gets taken from his family. This little boy who gets taken from his family, and it's really, really sad. But he ends up kind of, trying to figure out the secrets of the Institute, why they're there, what is going on, and how they can escape. And honestly, I had a great time with this. So my first Stephen King book was a hit. So if you can recommend others like this, not so much like It or Pet Sematary. I mean, I've seen the movies. I don't really care to read the books. I know that there's that weird scene in It that I have zero desire to read. But yeah, I liked this one. I also read Mexican Gothic, which again, I gave 3 stars to. It was alright. It's a little outside my norm because it's more of a Gothic horror, but like it was really weird. And there was like some weird mushrooms and weird sexy stuff that I was not here for, and I think I was confused half the time, and it was okay. It was okay. That's literally all I can say about this one is Ooh, one that's probably gonna get people riled up is I read Golden Sun, and I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. I didn't love Red Rising, and I liked this slightly more. So I do plan to continue. I have the rest of the series here, but it was okay. It was better than the first one. But again, 3-star read, sci-fi. I was very confused for a lot of it because it felt like we jumped into something completely different than the end of the first book. But I know that there's like a time gap, and it was all right. Speaking of finishing series though, I did read The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin, which is the sequel to The City We Became. And I absolutely loved it. This is such a cool duology. And I love N.K. Jemisin. Like, I have never read anything that I did not really enjoy by her. It's such a cool story. It's very Lovecraftian. It's very, New York. And it's such a cool story where these people become the avatars of cities and the cities become alive. And the audiobook was really cool because of just like the noises and the music in the background that they play sometimes, and it really makes it feel very atmospheric, and I ended up absolutely loving this duology. I also read Last Tale of the Flower Bride, and I wasn't super sure what to think about this, but I loved it. The audiobook was so cool. Very well done, super atmospheric, and it was a very cool like standalone Gothic fantasy mystery where you're trying to figure out you know, the mystery of this house and this other world and this bride who doesn't want her husband to know anything about her previous life. And he starts to kind of want to know. And like, is he going crazy or is she crazy or like, what is going on? Like, are these like fairies and stuff real? Or is it all like a kid's imagination? And honestly, like this book just kept me going and I had to know more. And I'm still confused by the end of it, but in a good way. And I really, really enjoyed it. Speaking of confusing, I also read Getty and the Ninth. I thought this was going to be super confusing. Everybody says it is. But I had such a good time with this. Again, the audiobook was fantastic. It was super well narrated. And it's all I'd ever really heard about it was lesbian necromancers in space, but it is so much more than that. Like, there's really no, like, romance. It's like, okay, she likes girls, but it's not like lesbian necromancers. It was a good time. And, like, the ending caught me off guard. I was like, the what? The fug? Like, what? And honestly, I'm really excited to read the rest of it. We have a lot of politics, a lot of really cool, I guess, like, magic with the necromancy, and it was just cool. I loved it. I also finished the Dark Artificers. So Queen of Air and Darkness and Lord of Shadows. I loved these. They were narrated by James Marsters, which was really cool because I love Spike. I'm a big Buffy fan. But yeah, I really liked these. I didn't like them quite as much as I liked the Infernal Devices series, but I did really enjoy them and do plan on continuing my Shadowhunter journey. I really like how it ended with the whole like parabatai thing and some of the romances in it. It's a little cheesy and overdone and over the top, but you know what? For what it was, I knew what I was getting and I got it and it was fun. I also read Fragile Threads of Power and I feel like a lot of people are either loving this one or hating this one. I really enjoyed it. I expected something different, but I'm really happy with what I got. I expected this continuation to the Darker Shades of Magic to be more new side characters and then see Lila and Kel like a little bit. And it was actually kind of the opposite of that. It was like a time jump continuation where we get Lila and Kel as our main characters. And then the new characters are like slowly introduced, but they feel like side characters. I kind of wish it would have been the other way around. I do kind of wish we'd have gotten like the new characters and then, you know, just like side of Lila and Kel. But again, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see where she goes with this because I'm hoping to get more of those new characters within the series. I do know in their marketing, it says like you can start with this. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You cannot start with this. This is not a good entry point to Darker Shades of Magic. I also did a reread of Warbreaker, which, no surprise, 5 stars. Loved it. Loved it still. Really fun on a reread. Of course, I also read The Sunlet Man, the last of the secret projects, and I really liked it. It might have been my least favorite secret project, but that doesn't really mean much because it's like everything was 5 stars except for Frugal Wizards, but like that was a little different. I really liked it. You definitely cannot read this without have read at least Stormlight, like all of Stormlight. It will make zero kind of sense. But I had so much fun and it actually got me really excited to read the 5th Stormlight book when it comes out because I'm like, what happened? Because this is like way after. So I'm confused, but I'm excited. And I love seeing all the Cosmere crossover. Like I'm that kind of Cosmere reader. So I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. The world was really cool. I didn't connect to the characters as much as I did in the other Secret Project books. I felt like this was much more like fast-paced plot, Mad Max-esque driven. Whereas some of the others, like I felt for the characters more. I didn't get as attached. But I still really enjoyed it and had a great time. Then I listened to the original, which is like the audio exclusive Brandon Sanderson novella thing where the girl is a clone and she has to kill her original self. And it was really cool. It was very short. It was interesting, fast paced. Like I had a good time. It was good to listen to at work. I was a little confused by the end of it again, but that's normal for me. But no, it was a good time. I liked the original. I also listened to Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree, which is a prequel to Legends and Lattes. I loved Legends and Lattes, and this book was a lot of fun. I don't think I liked it quite as much, but it was really cool seeing our main character Viv and like kind of where she came from, and then at the end getting some more of that tie-in to what we know will become when we read Legends and Lattes. So it was just a really quick, fun, sweet, you know, cozy fantasy read. I also listened to Painted Devils by Margaret Owens. This is the sequel to Little Thieves. Again, really good time. I quite enjoyed this. I was really excited to see the progression of the relationship between Vanya and Enric, and I did get that. I really liked it. I love their relationship within this series. I think it's really well done, and I was really interested in, you know, how they were going to continue this, because the first book could have easily been a good standalone, but I think this really did kind of expand upon the world and the story. And it ended where now I need another book. So this one did not end like the first one where it's like, okay, this would be a good like ending point. No, not at all. This one needs another one. But all in all, I really enjoyed this one as well. I think if you liked Little Thieves, you will probably like it, which, duh, it's the sequel. But no, I thought she did really well. I thought it was really cool seeing, you know, more of the gods, different gods, and kind of how that plays out. I listened to Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell. And again, this was a fun, cute, cozy fantasy. It was okay. I think I gave it 3 stars. It just, the relationship didn't hit with me. It was cute, cozy vibes, but anything other than the fact that it was cute, cozy, like plant magic type vibes, just, I didn't care about. Like, you're supposed to buy into this like relationship with her and this guy, and you're just like, I don't feel it. I don't see it. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite cozy fantasy, but it was good. And like 3 stars for me is still a good book. It's just not like a, oh my God, I'm going to gush about it. Like it kind of leaves my mind right away. And I'm like, it was all right. Then I read Queen Among the Dead by Leslie Livingston. And this one, I think I gave 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. It's like the Last Queen of Ireland. It's very Celtic. It's super good. And the narration in the audiobook is like thickly accented. And I honestly think it made it so much better. And it's about this girl who's like the second princess. And, you know, her sister is, you know, the one to inherit. But like women don't inherit. She's basically just meant to be like the queen in name. And I really enjoyed it. It's really hard to explain, and especially because I'm trying to like go through these quickly. It had some really, really cool like Celtic folklore and the magic, and I really enjoyed seeing that as somebody that has, you know, quite a bit of ancestry going back to Ireland. Like, we've done all the ancestry stuff, and it's actually really fascinating. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. I liked seeing it. It was not your typical fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. I also read The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft and really enjoyed this one. I have not read his books of Babel, but I know everybody loves them. This was my first book by Josiah Bancroft, and it makes me even more excited to go back and read like Sunlet Ascends, because this was so much fun. It was a married couple, and they run this like paranormal investigation, basically business, and they get called upon by the crown to investigate this letter that was sent to them and see if it was true or if it was false, that there is a like bastard prince out there that is trying to blackmail the king, but the king has kind of gone crazy. He tries to bake himself into a cake. There is also a very fun dragon within this book that lives in basically what I think of as like Hermione's bag, her little bag of everything. And he really likes good food, and it's hysterical. Like, there's so many funny moments, but I also really like that we have a really good husband and wife relationship. Like, there's no drama there. There's no like relationship drama. It is just a really sweet husband and wife that love each other and work together and solve weird paranormal mysteries together. And I had a great time with it. I also read Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. I really liked this. I wouldn't say it was my favorite. Like, the Poppy War still reigns supreme to me, even with my issues with the last book. But I still thought it was really good. It was definitely, you know, that commentary on the book community and publishing and, you know, the book internet community. Again, this is not my typical read. It's like a contemporary, I wouldn't call it a thriller. It's more like a mystery because, you know, is it even a mystery? Like, there's not much mystery there, but it was really good. And I did enjoy it. I also read the book that Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This is my first Mark Lawrence book, and I did not know what to expect going in, but I really enjoyed it. It was not perfect. There were some things that I was like, that's a little much. Like, there was one where, like, they do book quotes before the chapters, and he quoted his own book, and, like, put Mark Lawrence, which was a little strange to me. But I kind of blew over it. I still thought it was really cool. This like magical library and these people from two different worlds, maybe times something, and they keep colliding. And it was really, really cool. There is like some time travel that confused me a little, but all in all, magical library. And then I also read Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. This was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but it was okay. Like, we get this kind of, like, mystery murder whodunit in this small, sleepy Pacific Northwest island town and, you know, a second chance romance. And while it all sounds great, like, I think it tried to do too much and it didn't do any one thing particularly extravagantly, right? Like, I think this is supposed to be Adrienne Young's first adult novel, which... fine, they're older, but like it didn't feel adult. Like didn't feel like they were like 30-year-old characters. They still felt like teenagers, which was always a little weird to me. I was very interested in the murder mystery. It kind of fell flat for me, the answer to that. And then, you know, the romance I didn't really buy into. I was like, okay, I get it. They were like in love when they were 16, but like now they're 30 and they're still pining for each other. Like, and okay. Anyone that hasn't read this, I don't want to spoil it, but I have a thought on it that may or may not be spoilery. But if anybody has seen the movie Hot Fuzz, one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Simon Pegg movies. There is a point in this book where I was like, this is Hot Fuzz. The greater good. If you've seen it, you get it. That is what I thought of. I was like, did she watch Hot Fuzz when she was deciding the plot of this book? Like the ending? Because there's some overlap there. And whereas Hot Fuzz does it in like a funny way, this does it in like a super serious way. And I was like, I don't know, man. So, like, it was okay. I really liked, like, the atmospheric vibes of the town, but that's about it. That's. But if you've seen Hot Fuzz and read this, let me know if you see that greater good connection. I also did a reread of Oathbringer, which I just finished. Again, what do I say? I loved it. I loved it the first time. I loved it the second time. I'm currently rereading Rhythm of War. Then I did have 2 DNFs, and the first one was Portrait of a Thief. I just couldn't get into it. It's outside of my norm, but I tried to read it because I got it in an Illumicrate box, and I think it would be cool for people that like murdery mysteries and heists and stuff like that. I didn't get very far into it. The concept is really cool, but it's a contemporary heist, like art thieves and stealing back Chinese art for the Chinese government. Cool in theory, I just couldn't get into it. And then I also DNF'd Smoke in the Sun by Renee Audier. I read the first book and liked it enough, and I owned the second book, so I'm like, I'm gonna read it. Maybe it's just been too long between books, but I must have forgotten everything. I couldn't get into it. I was just like dreading getting back into this, which is weird because I liked the first book. I remember liking it, but that's all I remember about it. So I was just like, this is killing my vibe, and I'm gonna set it down and DNF it because it's just not, it wasn't great. So I was like, meh. And it didn't make me want to be like, oh, I forgot a bunch of stuff. Let me go back and reread the first one. Like, I didn't want to do that. So yeah, we're DNFing her. And that's it. I say that's it. I read so much. Those were so many books. I know I didn't give any like real like concrete reviews on a lot of them, but I do plan on doing like full reviews for a lot of these books. I just wanted to kind of wrap up everything I've read and share some life updates with you guys. And I do plan on doing some like channel updates and video coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I thank you guys for hanging with me and continuing to stay here with me even when I take my little breaks and life gets in the way. I'm kind of planning it out to where 2024 is going to be much better and more consistent because I love doing this. I just need to make sure I make the time for it and for y'all because I enjoy talking to you guys and I enjoy sharing what I'm reading because obviously even when I take my breaks, I'm still reading a million books. So yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out. Let me know your thoughts on any of these books, especially the Hot Fuzz connection with Spells for Forgetting, because I got it and I thought it was funny. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.